They told you to be kind, to be honest, to be good. And you listened. You smiled when you were disrespected. You stayed silent when they crossed the line. You gave without asking. You forgave without thinking. And what did the world give you in return? Disappointment. Because goodness on its own means nothing to those who thrive on power. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He saw through the illusion that morality, when worn as a mask, is just another tool for the ambitious. He didn't write for saints. He wrote for survivors. And in his world, the naive good man was not a hero. He was prey. This isn't a call to be heartless. It's a call to wake up. To stop clinging to the fantasy that being good is enough. Because in a world where the ruthless rise and the kind are consumed, the truth is brutal. If you're not willing to be dangerous, your goodness will be used against you. From early on, we're fed the same fable, that goodness is a currency, that if you follow the rules, keep your head down, and serve others, then life will repay you. But that's not how it works. The world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards results. It rewards strategy, and Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. In The Prince he wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." The game is rigged. Not because the world is cruel, but because it is competitive, and goodness without strength is a losing hand. Human beings are not wired for fairness, they're wired for advantage. Evolutionary psychology confirms this. Reciprocity was never about equality, it was about survival. People help when it helps them. They betray when it suits them. And those who can't recognize that truth become pawns in games they don't understand. If you're the one who never says no, who always forgives, who bends every time there's conflict, you're not virtuous, you're vulnerable. Modern psychology calls this the just world fallacy, the belief that people get what they deserve. But research in behavioral economics shows something very different. Studies by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky reveal that we routinely reward confidence over competence, charm over substance, and boldness over fairness. The systems we operate in, from corporate ladders to dating markets, are tilted toward those who understand image, narrative, and control. That's why the illusion of goodness is not only false, it's dangerous, because it can be manipulated. People will demand your patience, your generosity, your silence, but not because they value it, because it benefits them. Social predators don't need to overpower you, they just need to make you feel guilty for resisting. This is called moral exploitation. And it works, because when you tie your identity to being good, you leave yourself wide open. You can't say no. You can't defend yourself. You can't walk away, so you stay, and they feed. Machiavelli understood this dynamic. That virtue, when unguarded, becomes a weakness. That morality should be worn like a mask, not like a leash. He advised rulers to appear good, but not be bound by goodness. To act with calculated ruthlessness when required, but to maintain the image of nobility. This isn't hypocrisy, it's survival. Because people don't follow morality, they follow power wrapped in morality's clothing. This concept isn't evil, it's adaptive. Neuroscience backs it. The prefrontal cortex, the rational planner, must work with the amygdala, the threat detector. Your biology isn't asking you to be endlessly forgiving, it's asking you to know when to protect yourself, when to act, when to fight. But culture tells you to shut that instinct down, to stay pleasant, to smile through disrespect, to keep the peace, even when it kills your spirit. That's not virtue, that's self-erasure. And the worst part, the people who sell this fantasy often don't believe it themselves. The same public figures who preach compassion and humility often operate with brutal efficiency behind closed doors. Politicians, CEOs, religious leaders, they smile in public and dominate in private. They understand what Machiavelli understood, that appearances matter, that morality is theater, and that power belongs to those who control perception. That's why being good by itself means nothing, unless you can defend it, enforce it, withdraw it. Because if your kindness is endless, it becomes invisible. If your forgiveness has no boundaries, it becomes permission. You have to ask, who profits from your inability to say no? Who thrives when you stay silent? The answer is clear. Machiavelli has been misunderstood for generations. His work is seen as cold, even sinister, but his message was not one of evil, it was one of clarity. He never said to be cruel for cruelty's sake. He said to be aware, to be sharp, to be willing. When he described the ideal leader, he didn't choose one archetype. He chose two: the lion and the fox. The lion represents brute strength, courage, and presence. The fox represents cunning, deceit, and precision. A leader must be both: strong enough to command, smart enough to evade. Modern psychology refers to this same idea as dual process theory. System 1 is fast, instinctual, emotional. System 2 is slow, deliberate, calculating. You need both. Emotion without analysis leads to chaos. Logic without emotion leads to paralysis. But when you can access both modes, when you can shift from heart to sword, you become dangerous. And that's what separates leaders from victims. Machiavelli also stressed the difference between being moral and appearing moral. In today's world, this is branding. Optics, presence. Social psychologist Erving Goffman called it the presentation of self, the way we curate our identity to influence others. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. He understood that people judge what they see: your posture, your tone, your decisions. If you appear strong and fair, people follow, even if they don't fully understand you. If you appear soft and uncertain, they hesitate, even if you're right. But Machiavelli also warned, don't abuse power, use it wisely. He urged leaders to strike only when necessary, to be feared but not hated, to inspire loyalty, not dependence. That's not cruelty, that's restraint, because real power doesn't dominate, it directs. And in a world full of hidden motives, that restraint becomes a compass. So why do good people lose? Not because they're good, but because they are unarmed. They assume effort equals reward, that being moral will protect them. But the world isn't fair, it's hierarchical. Those who don't understand power dynamics get outplayed by those who do. This shows up everywhere. In workplaces, people who self-promote rise faster than those who quietly do the work. Research from Stanford confirms this. Strategic assertiveness is more predictive of career growth than competence alone. In relationships, kindness without boundaries reads as desperation. Those who overgive attract those who underinvest. And once that dynamic sets in, it rarely reverses. This isn't a matter of ethics. It's a matter of calibration, of knowing when to give and when to guard. Chronic people-pleasing is a trauma response, a learned behavior built on fear of conflict and loss, and it takes a toll. Cortisol levels stay high, resentment builds, identity fragments, and slowly your sense of self disappears. You become a reflection of what others want rather than who you are. Society won't help you. It praises sacrifice. It celebrates burnout. It tells you to be the bigger person, while it rewards those who manipulate. This isn't an accident. It's a system built to extract from the agreeable and elevate the assertive. The only way out is to redefine what strength looks like. And that begins with strategic goodness. Strategic goodness is not abandonment of morality, it's the mastery of it. It means you choose when to give, when to care, when to speak. It means your kindness is intentional, not automatic. Your generosity is earned, not exploited. It starts with boundaries. You stop over-explaining. You stop rescuing people who refuse to swim. You stop apologizing for simply existing. People respect those who respect themselves. And studies in social dynamics show that individuals who enforce limits are seen as more competent and self-assured. You also reclaim your energy. When you stop leaking it to every guilt trip and every demand, you create focus, clarity, calm. Emotional resilience grows. You respond instead of react. You move with intent instead of impulse, and that changes everything. Strategic goodness is also unpredictable. One day you're warm, the next, unreadable. One moment you forgive, the next, you walk away. This unpredictability is power. Game theory calls it a high-cost signal. It tells others, this person cannot be manipulated. They have standards, they have options. Even in leadership, this balance is essential. The best leaders are not the loudest or the kindest. They're the clearest, the most internally aligned. Neuroscience shows that respect is a neurological response to consistency. When people know what you stand for and what you won't tolerate, they trust you. That's the final layer of strategic goodness, presence. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to explain. It radiates. You walk into a room and the energy shifts, not because you demand attention, but because you no longer seek approval. And that, Machiavelli would argue, is real power, because the goal was never to destroy your goodness. It was to discipline it, to make it sharp, selective, intentional, so that your kindness no longer drains you, It elevates you so that your compassion no longer enslaves you, it guides you. You were never meant to be just good. You were meant to be powerful, measured, respected, dangerous when necessary, untouchable when tested. If this video challenged your perspective, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Check out my other videos, and remember, the game only changes when you do.